Hello everyone, my name is sergioraphaelfabella, and this will be my final project for PE2 Hatha Yoga. So, I have been a martial artist for quite a while now, actually. I think maybe 6 or 7 years of my life was dedicated to the Chinese martial art known as Wushu. I'm not as active now as I was back then, but yeah, I still have some of the training that has been taught to me all those years. So I have some flexibility. I used to be actively participating in our group's national games, the national games for Wushu that would be held every year. But these past couple of years, the PSC and the Wushu Federation of the Philippines have not really been um, that active when it comes to our national games. So now I mostly teach. I'm an assistant coach for our class, and I mostly teach the basic students. So the yoga form or the yoga sequence that I've made helps uh, target my weak spots that I found throughout my training, which are the calves and the ankles. I'm really not flexible there, and it actually kind of shows in some of the stances that are required in the martial art wushu. So hopefully, this yoga sequence can help uh, strengthen or increase the flexibility of uh, the targeted areas, and hopefully, it helps other people who have the same problems as me, very stiff calves and very stiff ankles that are not really flexible. So we'll start with the intro sequence first, going down to Savasana for around 3 to 5 deep breaths. I prefer, especially in the intro sequence, doing 5 at least deep breaths. You can do more if you want to help you fully warm up for the uh, the main sequence that we're going to be doing. Next up is Makarasana. I've noticed there are two variations of this. Um, I prefer doing this one as it is more difficult actually. I suggest holding your or counting your deep breaths when you're up the air instead of down here. Finally, we'll be doing the one of the meditative asanas. I prefer doing easy pose as half lotus and full lotus. Sometimes my leg slips. It's not really painful, but sometimes it slips off of my other leg and moves downwards. Same, try to keep your back straight. Breathe through your stomach, not through your chest. And we'll move on to the full sequence. Okay, first off, apologies for not being able to see my head as far as the camera could go. We'll start off with forward fold, holding each pose for 3 to 5 deep breaths. Next, we'll move on to plank. And from plank, we will go down to the cobra stretch. Just checking the camera, don't mind me. From there, we will go to our half splits. I find the emphasis here is to put the leg in front of you, make sure it is as flexed as possible, making sure that your toes point up to the ceiling as much as you can. There you can really feel the stretch. Here, you just point down to help ease the muscles. I'll switch legs, go on our left side. After deep breaths, we'll go pointing down. And from there, we'll move on to the next position. Okay, from plank, we'll move to downward dog, downward facing dog. This is a very difficult pose for me, so what I like to do is I like to pedal, switching weight from side to side makes it easier. Allows me to slowly push forward so I can improve my stretching and flexibility while I'm there. And there we go down to plank again, going up to the garland pose. This is a very difficult pose for me, but once you find your balance, it is also a very good pose for stretching. Try to keep your heels to the ground and your feet as flat as possible. As you can see, mine are a bit pointed, but that is just my lack of flexibility. Finally, we will do the pose known as the butterfly stretch. We have this in our wushu class as well. Good for opening the hips. Try to keep your feet close to your groin area and your back as straight as possible. You can interlock your hands with your feet to keep them there. Here is a side view. And we are finished with the main sequence. As I'm sure most of you are already familiar with the closing sequence, I think I'd like to take this time to do some self-evaluation. This pose was actually a bit difficult for me to move forward, to really go down and have my forehead touch the floor. I'm not sure if it was my hips, but yeah, it didn't hurt as much as it was actually physically hard for me to touch my forehead to the floor. This one, pretty simple, like easy pose. It helped me relax, it helped me ground myself to the earth. Okay, the final one is actually very difficult. I'm not sure how much I weigh, but as you can see here, I was only able to lift a bit of my body off from the floor. Only my hips. I wasn't able to fully lift my entire body as I am a bit of a heavy person. And I don't think my arms were capable of supporting my weight. Next, do a bit of a stretch. I find this to always be helpful to wake me up. And we are done with the closing sequence. So that concludes my short little yoga freestyle that I made. That helps. The target's mostly the calves and the ankles. I hope this is helpful to those who have the same problem as me. I only did one round because, well, the amount of rounds you do is dependent on you. I find 3 to 5 rounds is good. You could do 5 or more if you're capable or if you think you can do it. But if you feel it's a bit difficult, then you can scale down to maybe 3, maybe 2. It's up to you. Anyways, Once again, my name is sergioraphaelfabella. I hope those that watched you found this helpful and enjoyed the video.